Hey everyone, welcome. We're going to give a second for folks to stream in from the waiting room.
We'll help each other, sisters and brothers. Anything you need, you know I'm here by your side. It all gets better when we are together. What a feeling, friends you can believe in. Yeah, they always got my back. You can put a price on that. This is living, loving every minute, smiling when they see my face. Oh, these are the best days. Me and my friends. It's feeling right, we're loving life when we're together. Me and my friends.
We've got a lot of folks joining the call today, so we're just giving everybody a second to get in.
When we're together, me and my friends. All up in my head, I'm stuck and spinning around. Just when I'm falling, that's when you're calling. Laugh together, cry together, love through the pain. When the
So
burden's
great to
heavy,
see everyone. I hope you see the instructions there, but we'd love to see who you are, where you're from, and what comes to mind when you think of a transfer-affirming campus. So add your thoughts to the chat.
price on that. This is living, loving every minute, smiling when they see my face. Oh, these are the best days. Me and my friends.
Ready?
It's feeling right, we're loving life when we're together. Me and
Okay, everyone, you've got a last couple of seconds while we admit the remaining folks from the waiting room. Folks are just streaming in. So we're just trying to give plenty of time for folks to get into the room. Welcome, everyone. You've got your prompt there. I am going to click ahead on the slide so that we can get started, but we are thrilled to have you joining us today on the very first partnering transfer think tank between the National Resource Center and Transfer Nation. So welcome. I'm Emily Cottrell, and I'll tell you a little bit more about us in a second, but you are here today to talk about building early momentum transfer affirming practices at community colleges and partner institutions. So thank you so much for joining us. We could not be more thrilled. About a bazillion people signed up for this session. So we know we have folks coming in live, but also a lot of folks who are going to watch the recording. So hi to you too, video watchers. So this is clearly a topic that folks are interested in, and we can't wait to hear from folks and start sharing ideas. So as I mentioned, I'm Emily Cottrell. I'm in my, fourth month or so here at the NRC and Columbia, South Carolina at the University of South Carolina. And I'm very pleased to have our friends and colleagues on the call from Transfer Nation. So I'm going to turn it over to Heather and Bernard to introduce themselves as well.
Thank you so much, Emily. Hi, everyone. Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. If I haven't had the joy of meeting you yet, I am Heather Adams. I am the founder of Transfer Nation, and I'm just thrilled to be in this space with you today. So thank you for being here. I'm going to go into this a little bit, but Transfer Nation is just a community of professionals. It's a network for people who are working to improve transfer and the transfer experience all across the community and the colleges, universities, community colleges, systems, organizations, really any role that touches the student's journey. So it's pretty simple. And a transfer think tank is one of the ways in which we help translate and advocate and share this momentum with each other. So it's not a traditional webinar. A transfer think tank is more of a working conversation. It's like a brain trust of all of the incredible talent in this room, and a space where we can learn from one another and surface what's working and name what still needs attention and what still is challenging, but also leave with ideas that we can actually use. So what I'd love to request today is please use the chat, which you're doing. It's amazing. We're seeing everybody. Use those reactions. If you're liking something, if you +1 something, go for it. If we ask for people to come off mute and you want to share, please. You will hear from us, of course, but this works best when the wisdom in the room shows up. So it's really more important that everybody hears from you all. So that brings me to what we're going to focus on today. Emily said it early. We're going to be building early momentum through a transfer affirming practice policy culture process, right? Because it's not just about the culture, it's also about the structure that we're building to help support that culture and that transfer experience. So the core idea is really transfer doesn't start at the point of transfer. It starts much earlier, and the messages students hear, the pathways they see, the questions that we ask them, the partnerships that we build, the ways that we celebrate their goals, that is where it can start. And so today, what we hope to do is learn from you all and from each other what shapes that early momentum and share some best practices and some insights and maybe leave with something concrete. So this is an ongoing conversation. If you've been to a transfer think tank, you know that this is going to keep going. There will be future transfer think tanks on similarly aligned topics. But just to give you a taste of what it is like, I am going to put in the chat a link to a Padlet, or you can use the QR code that's right up there on the screen. And we're going to just try this out. We are going to try the transfer think tank style, get on that Padlet however you want. The link is in the chat. And let's just start seeing where you think students can see and hear or experience that transfer is valued at your institution or in your work. Oh, thank you, Emily, for sharing screen. That's awesome. I also have it up in case you need to go back to the slides, but this is perfect. So QR code is also at the top of this. Yep, there you go. And I'm going to put it in the link again one more time. Link in the chat, not chat in the link. And check it out. See if you can add a post to Padlet. And you could also add it here to the chat if you want. And we're going to start seeing what folks are saying about where students can see, hear, or experience that transfer is valued. Ooh, I love these coming in. Not calling all new students freshmen. Love it. Social media, they can see it on inclusive marketing materials. Representation, seeing it through representation, seeing themselves on those websites and those recruiting materials. Transfer student celebrations and days and events and t-shirts, just in case you're not wearing your transfer t-shirt. I can show off mine. Transfer fairs, campus tours, and then where can we make it more intentional? High-level administrative positions that focus on transfer. Ooh, I'd love to hear how many people have those at their institutions, those high-level administrative positions that can help with that sustainability of transfer. Embedding advising, one-on-one collaboration with the students. I love that. So we're going to keep these Padlets up and we're going to keep coming back to them. We're going to come back to another one at the end. So keep this up if you want, and you can comment on what folks have said and shared here. You can read what they've added and like and react to them. We will also take these and send them out after. We're going to synthesize the notes after we're done here today, and we'll send them out so that you can hear what people said and learn from it. Emily, if you want, you can actually share the screen again with the Padlet. It's really cool to see everything coming up. You might have to scroll a little bit because there are a lot of additions. Love it. Look at that.
Yeah, it looks like I can only do one column at a time, everyone. So I hope you're taking time to explore on these as well.
It's true. It's hard. It's hard to do. But I also want to bring up a fellow Transfer Nation partner in all things transfer-centric. As we're going through here, Bernard, I'd love to bring you to the stage to introduce yourself. And also, what are you seeing here that's resonating with you?
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Emily. It's always so great. And thank you all of you for taking the time today to be part of this conversation. It is always so refreshing to be reconnected with transfer champions from across the field and across the country. I'm Bernard Huggins. As Heather mentioned, I'm part of Transfer Nation. Transfer Nation has been a home for me for many years, even back when I was on a campus and was really looking to find community. And so I'm always grateful again to be part of this. And so this Padlet, oh my goodness, you all are in there. I see orientation, I see joint marketing, I see specific roles at executive levels that really are looking at transfer. This is phenomenal. National Transfer Student Week, celebrating transfer. So many of us on this call today are transfer students or have had transfer as part of our journey. What else are we seeing here? Transfer student housing. Oh my goodness. They need a place to go and to be and to build community once they do transfer. And I think something that really stands out here, so many of us are elevating the language around how we talk about transfer. And I think that's so important that the visibility around transfer as embedded into the student experience and not like an afterthought. We're seeing that a lot show up in some of the recommendations you all have. This is great. Thank you all so much for participating and being part of this conversation. And I'm going to turn it over next to Emily, who is going to really take us and ground us in what we're talking about today, which is transfer affirming cultures and structures. And so, Emily, take it away.
Thank you so much. And everyone get ready. Nerd alert, because I just want to take a second. I mean, what would this session be if I wasn't trying to bring up something around transfer literature and research? So I cannot even believe I'm doing this, but I'm starting with dictionary.com, everyone, because I think word choice is really important. And I want you to know that we chose transfer affirming very intentionally. When we throw around words like transfer inclusive, transfer friendly, transfer receptive, they all mean great things. But we chose transfer affirming because of what it implies in some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. So, according to our friend dictionary.com, affirm means to state or assert positively, some of what we're already seeing on the Padlet, so that's great. To express agreement with or commitment to. Ooh, I think that's pretty important when we're talking to transfer students about transfer as a pathway and showing that we value it. Or finally, to support someone by giving approval, recognition, or encouragement. Now, I think that perfectly sums up exactly what I meant by transfer affirming, because some of those other words are a little loosey-goosey for me. Some of them actually imply broader frameworks than often get talked about. So when we say transfer affirming today, this is the type of stuff we mean. But also, let's just take a moment to ground it in some literature. While I've been here at the National Resource Center, this is not a new framework, but it's something I've been taking a pretty serious look at in my time here, is something called the ecological validation model. Put a thumbs up or give a reaction if this is something you've heard about before. But I really love this particular framing as a place to ground some of these conversations on affirming, because it combines all those great things we know and love about validation theory, but also thinking about the context in which that happens, and more specifically using Brofenberger ecological systems model. I mean, you know these things if you went to higher ed for master's or PhD, but the person, context, process, time. So thinking about those two things together, because affirming is great, but it cannot be up to one individual or chance encounters with individuals at different points. It has to be cohesive and coordinated across a variety of contexts. And so that's what we mean here. But most specifically in the article itself, which I'll post a link to that so that you can get the article if you're not already familiar. There's lots of kind of emerging studies around this. But within the ecological validation model, students experience validating support across multiple contexts in their ecology, not just through an interaction with a single or a few caring individuals. The synergistic effects of validation across the multiple support contexts from multiple educators over time, in turn, facilitate student success. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, because the truth is transfer work and your work as a champion happens in your office, happens one-on-one, happens in the hallway, but it also happens in collaboration with your colleagues and within departments, between departments, and as we're going to learn a little bit more later, across institutions. And that's so critically important for transfer. So that's our very tiny nerd interlude. We're going to now dive into some discussion. Bernard?
And so, as part of this discussion, I want to really, the way that we've structured these discussions, we're thinking about the transfer forming opportunities that exist within the community college space, that exist within the four-year space, and that exists within partnership as Emily so eloquently articulated. And so, we want to start with a spotlight example of where this transfer affirming structures and culture is showing up in the field even before students enter the community college. And so we're going to travel over to Imperial Valley, California, where we'll hear from Imperial Valley College and their initiative to really get high school students thinking about transfer and considering transfer even before they enroll at Imperial Valley College. And so I'm going to turn it over. Let me just double check that my friend made it on the call.
And while we wait for Alexa, happy Community College Month. Talk about a
Woo!
way to signal transfer affirming culture. Did you know that every April is Community College Month? And we've been celebrating that on Transfer Nation all month. I don't know if you've seen some of the takeovers of a day in the life of a community college professional. It's been pretty incredible to watch. So head over there if you want on Instagram and see some of those great stories and like live what's happening in the moment at the community college. But I love Community College Month for exactly what Bernard was talking about. It really celebrates and kind of signals and represents how important community colleges are.
Absolutely. And on the same theme of Community College Month, just today, Aspen Prize released the semifinalists for the Prize for Community College Excellence. So also check that out online. While we wait for our colleague to jump on the call, let's go ahead and go into the discussion because we want to hear from you. As Heather mentioned, we want to hear your ideas and your examples. So we know that great things are happening in some spaces, but we also know that you all are doing this already. And so let's go ahead and dive right into the discussion.
I love that. That's great. And I'm going to put this in the chat as well. It's actually on the next slide, Emily, if you want to grab that. And when Alexa gets here, we'll let her have the mic, of course, to share. But right now, I think we jumped ahead a little bit to receiving. We were over, I think if you just go back to maybe, there we go. Oh, one more. Back to the chat. There. No. No,
So actually,
number
let's
9, number 11 is perfect. It's perfect. Yes,
yeah.
thank you. So in the chat, what is an idea or an example from your institution is how I'm going to translate this because I know we haven't heard from Alexa yet. Is Bernard, is that what you just said? I'm sorry, I talked over you.
No, that's perfect. It's perfect.
Good. So instead of borrowing from an example that you've already heard, what is an example from your institution, especially our community college partners? What are you doing on your campus? What are you doing in your office to really set that early momentum for transfer students?
Yeah, and
What is
building
the
on that, how do you know a student wants to transfer or intends to transfer? How are you
love
really curating that early on in the experience? And feel free to unmute, drop in the chat, unmute. We want to hear from you all.
Yep. This is about kind of what you're all doing out there in the field. What's working?
What's working really well?
We've got lots of
I actually work at it. My name is David Alvarez. I'm at Seattle Central College. We are actually a community college, and one way that we're actually building those partnerships is that we do host transfer fairs. So universities will actually come to our campus and table throughout the year and at specific events. We also invite other current advisors from universities to come and do presentations with our students as well about their specific programs.
love it. Thank
Cool.
you for sharing. And there's so many great ideas in the chat. Anybody else want to come off mute and share while we're taking this moment to think about what you're doing at the community college? And I liked Bernard's question of When are they finding out about transfer? I saw something in here about the high school pipeline and starting early in high school and starting those conversations even before folks enroll.
Rihanna has
Rihanna.
hand
Yes.
raised.
Go for it, Rihanna.
All right. One of the things that we do, I'm at Clark College in Vancouver, Washington. If you've seen Portland, Oregon in the news, we're across the river from them. But one of the things that we do is a guaranteed admissions program with our most common transfer university. So if you meet, just minimal guidelines, you're guaranteed admissions into the university. So you build that identity from the beginning.
Oh, wonderful. And there's no guessing for those students, right? They know they have a pathway ahead of them. That's wonderful. I'm looking at all the great things happening. Natasha, I see your hand raised. I
And
also see
Amelia also is waiting, so we might go to Amelia first and then Natasha after that.
Perfect.
beautiful.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amelia Kiley with Boise State University in our Transfer Success team. We, similar to Rhiannon, actually have a guaranteed transfer pathway as well with some of our in-state institutions, but we actually have a really cool new collaboration that we're doing with them. When a student submits their graduation application through some of the local community colleges, they actually will send this data to Boise State so that we can start reaching out to students early and make sure they're connected with transfer resources as early as possible. Such a big deal when we think about admissions deadlines and scholarship deadlines as well.
Ooh, this is great. So you're systemizing the process of learning about the students who are intending to transfer. That's excellent.
And Natasha, what do you want to share?
Similar to one of my colleagues mentioned, so we have, and I put it in the chat, we also have like a guaranteed admission pathways program with our 7 community college partners. And we engage with those students. It's called the CUNY Justice Academy. We engage with them very early, inviting them to info sessions to hear about how the transition process, which we are really sort of careful in saying transition, not transfer, because they're part of both. And then we also have this really cool program that with limited funding, but it's called Transfer 550. It was very generously given to us by a funder, and basically the students can earn funds. The reason why it's 550 is on average about $550 that then when they come to our college, they can use for certain educational expenses. And there's a person that manages this program, so they can use it for a summer course or MetroCard, or I guess now OmniCards, or stipend, those kinds of things. So they kind of have this thing waiting for them when they come with some funding assistance, which I think is really critical for our students.
Wonderful, wonderful. Love this. Awesome. And y'all are doing such great work with your program planning and the early identification for transfer students. And so great work there happening at your college.
And there are
All
so
right.
many incredible ideas in the chat and examples. We'll make sure to collect these and send them out to the group so that you all can kind of get inspired by each other as you read them. Misty, I see your hand up.
Hi, found my mute button. So one of the things I noticed in the chat is honestly, I love when people do like really cool branding with like really catchy words. And I saw CU Boulder talks about their bridge to bachelor's. I don't know, maybe I'm just a fan of alliteration, but like I would love to see if everybody could kind of like share their little like cool marketing logos or like words and stuff, because sometimes like those little alliteration tactics really stick out in somebody's head. And like, I mean, I have a kid who just graduated high school, and I know for sure all the things that rhyme are the only things he remembered from high school. So I'm just saying, like, I would love to see what everybody else calls all their stuff. Like, 'cause everything we have, we're Kent State, so everything we have has the word flash in it, which is probably confusing to who does not know anything about Kent State, but we do a lot of flash rhyming and flash things. So, I'm just everybody else's branding stuff because I think it's so.
Misty, that's great. And you're already getting some ideas in the chat, but let's do that. Let's add that to the chat conversation. What are you calling your programs, and what fun plays on words are you using so we can get inspired?
I love
look,
that. Keep at them, everybody.
we've
And I know, and Andre has had his hand up, and then
yeah,
Becky, and then we're still waiting. Something must have happened to our guest speakers, but we're
I think
filling the
so.
gap just beautifully. So we're going to move on to the next section. But you guys are doing exactly the right things. So keep adding, particularly those alliteration things. But Andre first, and then Becky.
Yes, my name is Andre. I represent the Community College of Baltimore County, and we have a program here called Degree to Succeed, which we partner with 9 different universities. A cool thing that we do, other than guarantee admission, we do have that for all our students, but we have the advisors from those institutions who come on campus at least 4 times per month, and also offer virtual settings for our students so they can connect and talk about aligned courses that for students to take so they know that, hey, you know what? I have someone to speak with, not just at the Community College of Baltimore County, but also at my partner university. So it's like a buy-in system where you feel at home before you even get there. They also provide an ID card to our students who are in the program so they can attend their, basketball game, football game. So before students even get to the 4-year college, they feel at home before they even stepped on campus.
That's incredible, Andre. Thank you for sharing that. Becky, I think you're next.
Okay, I just wanted to comment. I mean, there's a lot of things that we do throughout the whole process, but originally it was what do you do to get them started early before enrollment?
Yes.
We have as part of
Yes.
our application that they can check that their interest is going to be to transfer, and anybody
Okay.
who's an AA or an AS student is obviously that's the transfer pathways in most ways, although we do have some specifics. But so we ask, and then there's follow-up to those students. So we all know that, a week before graduation, they're like, what do I need to do? I want to transfer. That's really not the time we want to, you know, start meeting with the students. We have transfer centers that we have 4 campuses, so we have transfer centers at each. But it's been very helpful to put it as part of the application process so there's able to be follow-up at that point. And what we use for ours, since I'm at Cuyahoga Community College in Cleveland, Ohio, we're called Tri-C. So first degree at Tri-C, second degree anywhere. That's what we use. So thank you everybody
I
and
love it.
enjoy this.
And I
Thanks,
just
Becky. I really love that.
and I
you
just have
that's
to
been
add, since
yeah.
Tri-C is one of our partners, they do an amazing job. Becky does a great job.
Oh, I love that. This is going to be great because one of our final topics is going to be partnerships. So we will come back to that, Misty. But Becky, what you said is exactly what the national research says. We know early and often conversations and signaling, transfer affirming culture, but that structure that you've set up at your institution are exactly what is needed and what works. I see Gary's hand, and then I think Bernard, you might wanted to you have somebody to call on before we move on to our next question. But Gary, go for it.
Good morning, everybody. It's good to be here. I am
Hey.
Gary Johnson. I represent Dallas College here in the great state of Texas. So, a couple of things that we're doing. We have 7 campuses across Dallas-Fort Worth. We're a pretty large school, over 6,000 employees, 100,000 students that we serve. And so, what we're doing in terms of first-year experience, we are leveraging new student orientation. So it's a big part of how we're migrating our students to be in that threshold of transfer and so forth. So we're doing that up front, making sure that, like she mentioned, they're doing the AA and AS degree plans and making sure that they have all that they need to be successful while they're with us, and then also transferring out. So we are really leveraging new student orientation as a big feature for transferring out.
That's so great, Gary. Are there any other community colleges leveraging their orientation experiences early on to kind of get plant seeds for transfer, also identify which students are transfer intending? I love that example, Gary.
And we don't want to call anyone out, except that we will, because we saw you. For community colleges specifically, if anybody wants to share.
I'm also wondering, maybe there's a community college that does a first year experience, because Emily didn't really, we didn't go into a great detail on some of the research that NRC has been doing. But I'm interested in hearing from folks at community colleges who have a first year experience and maybe transfers embedded in that course. Anybody here have anything like that
Well,
going on?
well, actually, we have a panelist that can speak to that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if we jump, Emily, sorry to jump the slides, but if we jump to
Mm,
uh, a couple of slides to our friend from Durham Tech.
bad idea. Dell's like, well, okay. I thought I wasn't
Yeah,
coming on
Del,
till later, but
we're gonna bump to you, Del, to talk a little bit about what you're doing at Durham Tech to really collaborate across your community college and really build that transfer affirming structure early on in the student experience. And so I'll turn it over to you, Del, to introduce yourself and then talk a little bit about what you're doing at Durham Tech.
Thank y'all for inviting me. It's been truly exciting. Honestly, I've been in the chat like liking stuff and taking notes and everything. This has been amazing so far. And so I'm really excited to not only talk about what we're doing at Durham Tech, but really to learn from everybody else because you're doing such amazing work. So this has been truly awesome for me. But I'm Della Williams, and I am chair instructor for first year experience and college success at Durham Tech. I always tease and say it's a fancy way of saying that I teach ACA 122, which is our first year experience course, our college seminar. And we're really very fortunate to have an awesome partnership with our transfer center. It also helps that my office and her office are literally side by side. So my office is in the transfer center. And so it really has helped our partnership evolve. We've always been very close with the Transfer Center, but now with everything in the same place, it has just been phenomenal. Being able to really get information just in time as we need it to impart to our students. So a lot of the things that we do, first of all, like I mentioned, we do partner with her. Leah Bingham is our assistant dean of transfers. So we do have a higher level position that is solely dedicated to transfer for our students. And she trains us because all of us that teach ACA 122, we are faculty advisors as well, and we advise university transfer students. So, we partner with her. She trains us as we get new instructors. And even for those of us that have been here and need a refresher, because it's always changing. And anybody who's on here who is from North Carolina, we change a lot. That's kind of our thing. So, as things get added, she trains us on it and we impart those things to our students. Also, I meet with her. Officially, I meet with her every summer, but again, our offices are side by side. So we meet all the time. And so again, getting, that information that our transfer students need, we're able to share that with them really just in time. And we're constantly updating our curriculum to make sure that we're giving that information to the student. Also, she has, and I can't show it now, but she has, if you go on our website and just look for the Transfer Center, I emphasis on the D, yes. If you go to the website, there's a plethora, there's like so much information there, and we actually walk our students through that website so that we're not just telling them go to the website, go to the website. We literally walk them through it so that they know how to use it. It's embedded in the lessons that we teach for ACA. So literally for me, when I teach my students, like the first week of class, I'm actually already showing them where the plans of study for their programs are, where the course selection guides, the transfer guides, how to apply to a university, admissions information, all of that. I'm showing them that from the very beginning so that they're already aware. So they're hearing it because they're coming into class and they kind of know they want to transfer, but they're a little shaky as to where to begin. We let them know from the very beginning. We also have our assistant dean come to our classes, or we actually take our classes. The ones that we teach in person, we'll bring them to the transfer center so they know where it is. They can, get acclimated, they can get comfortable. And a lot of them will try to stay afterward. And we're kind of encouraging them, look, make an appointment, make an appointment. You can't stay like 2 days because you got to go back to class. But, they'll want to stay and ask questions. And it's really nice to see them get excited about being there and realizing that we have this resource. We also have an option for transfer lesson that's embedded into our class where we talk to them about their options for transfer. And a lot of times we have, sometimes there's this tendency to focus on the associate in arts and associate in science, but we've actually expanded that. So we're covering all of the associate degree programs that we offer. So we're talking to them about not just the comprehensive articulation agreement, but we're looking at uniform articulation agreement. We're looking at bilateral. So those are folks that, may be in associate and applied science programs who may, even though, yes, they're getting a degree that we would consider career ready, right out of the gate, but they're also learning that, hey, yes, I might be going to work right after, but I want to go on for more education. And so we're also giving them those resources as well. And then we have an assignment called the academic timeline. And I noticed in the chat that a lot of people mentioned that they do, meet with students and walk them through their program and kind of give them advice on the classes they need to take so they can transfer seamlessly. We decided to create an assignment where we sit down with them and we walk them. They literally plan all of their classes from beginning to end. We ask them, where do you want to transfer? What do you want to major in when you go? And we walk them through looking at the course selection guides, looking at the transfer guides, and shout out to our system office for pulling those transfer guides together, and to Leah Bingham, our assistant dean, for pulling together our course selection guides and our plans of study. We literally help them pick out the ones that's pertinent to them, show them how to interpret it, explain to them about prerequisites and co-requisites and how that looks, and what will go to the college that they're interested in. We'll talk to them, we'll help them research the school, research all the deadlines, the different things that they'll need to know, even things like, what are some challenges you might face adjusting on campus and things like that, looking at everything about the process so that it's familiar to them, even if they may forget some things, because of course this is at the beginning of their program, at least they've been introduced to it. And then finally, we have a portfolio assignment where they pull all of this information together. So they have it all in one place and they can refer back to it as they, navigate through their program. Also, with both of those assignments, we encourage them to make appointments at the transfer center so that they can automatically from the very beginning start talking to Leah about what they want to do, what their decisions are for transfer, and what they need to do right now to be ready. And however long it takes on their journey, they'll be ready at the end to transfer, and they already have everything in place.
No, this is so phenomenal. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. What I love about and why we really wanted folks to hear from you all is that this is really a comprehensive approach to identifying students early. And it's not happening in the silo, right? It's a collaboration
No.
across your campus. And what we often see is that while there's tools for students to utilize to plan to transfer, they're not always walked through how to do that. And so with your model is ensuring that every student who wants to transfer has access and exposure to those tools, and they're scaffolded through the process of how best to use them and how can they connect transfer to their career and be thinking about that early. So thank you so much for being part of this
Del,
conversation.
yeah, absolutely. And Del and Bernard, there is a question. Kimberly Williams asked, how many staff members are on your transfer team? Because that sounds like a lot going on. What's happening over there?
And
Great
interestingly,
question.
I'm gonna say, interestingly enough, officially, there's only one, and that is Leah. She's our assistant
Whoa.
dean of transfer, and that's our transfer staff member. And that's why, honestly, that's why it's so important that so for us, for our first year experience discipline, there's 6 full-time faculty, and then we have adjunct faculty as well that teach. So keeping that in mind because we do, it's small. If you think about that, that's a small staff, but that's why it's really important that everybody's partnering with them because it's not just first year experience. Of course, our advising our partners. I read a lot of people mention high school, our CCP department, they're, partnered with us. And so all of us really come together and wrap all of our energy around, our students who want to transfer because we do have small staff
Yes, yes.
in the different
But I think a lot
departments.
of people can relate to that. And
Yeah.
I know there was another simple question before we move on to the next topics. I may have lost it already. Someone said, "Oh, curious how many students it reaches, and do you work with all students on campus, or is it a specific group? Because we know a lot of folks have, very cohort oriented programs or smaller programs. So what's the size of this? How many students are you reaching?"
So, just last year, we taught in ACA, we taught almost 2,000 students. And so the way that ACA goes is that any student who comes in who is enrolled in a degree program, and that's any associate degree program, whether it's AS, associate in engineering, associate in applied science, whatever that is, if it's an associate degree program, they have to take ACA 122. It's embedded in their programs. So, so literally, and then we also have it, we have a policy where they have to take it ideally in their first semester or within their first 15 credits. So we're really getting them early and we're getting literally almost every student, unless they're, doing a certificate, diploma, or Con Ed program. We're literally getting every single student that comes through here. And what's beautiful, and I'm gonna say what's beautiful about that is again, like I mentioned earlier, because sometimes, some students they enroll in programs where they don't really see that they can transfer. And so by, being able to, introduce that to them in the class, it gives them an opportunity to really think that through. And then to have someone that's knowledgeable, because one of the things I also love too is that even though we're instructors, we're also advisors as well. So we're able to really sit down and walk them through and help them think about what does this look like for me. So it's super helpful that they literally every single student coming into a degree program has to take it.
That is incredible. We are going to shift now just to focus a little bit on the 4 years since we focused on community college first. Gary, I do see your hand up. Did you want to ask a question? And for those folks that have questions in the chat, we are going to collect them and we will make sure Dell gets them. We will collect them and start a board, a comment board so folks can get their questions answered. But Gary, what were you wondering?
Just a real second question from Ms. Williams. So I would like to partner with you, Ms. Williams, because we're trying to do that at Dallas College. We're trying to implement a course for first year students to take. So can we talk offline about how you guys are doing that? Because that's a big deal for Dallas College. I want to collaborate with you on that issue. So I'll send you my email and we can talk.
Sounds good. I would love to.
Woohoo! Transfer Think Tank in action. This is awesome. Thank you for suggesting that, Gary, and thank you for being open to that, Dell. This collaboration and brain trust is the whole point.
I was gonna say, if it's okay, can I? Because I've had some private messages as well where people have asked, "Is it okay if I put my email in the chat?"
I would do it if you're comfortable with
if
it.
you're ready for
Absolutely.
it.
Oh, yeah.
If you're ready for that.
And Dell, you mentioned y'all's website as well. So whenever you have a minute, I suspect folks will want to know what website specifically you're talking about. So if you don't mind sharing that in there too, that'll allow them to go backwards on that.
Sure.
But like Heather said, Bernard, I think we're going to kind of go, I've shifted the slides, but let's kind of look at that receiving side. You want to start us off there?
Yeah, so let's hear. We've heard from our community colleges about early identification. We've heard from some of you about some of the partnership work you're doing with your guaranteed admissions and you're pushing into the community college. So once students arrive at the four-year institution, what does it look like to be ready to receive your transfer students? And so I want to hear from you all. 4 years, unmute, hop in the
Yeah.
chat, raise your hand.
And I would just use that word arrive loosely because as we're already learning, like it may be too late if you wait for the
Ah,
moment that they've stepped foot on campus. So where do you start really signaling to these transfer intending students that you affirm them? And we use that word intentionally, remember? So how do you and when do you start that process? So Brandon, you had your hand up first.
Howdy, folks. Thank you so much. Brandon Cerrijo, Transfer Student Success Coordinator at Florida State University here in Tallahassee, Florida. So we actually do a lot to affirm our students once they start making their transition here. We have our mandated, they have to go to orientation. So that all starts at orientation. And we have a really fantastic orientation team that we get to work with our orientation office with in terms of training. How do we work with our transfer students? What are some things we don't say or say with transfer students to help them feel welcome? Because a lot of our OLs are not transfer students, right? So getting them kind of thinking transfer minded. Our advisors as well. So at orientation, our students meet with their advisor. We do some training right before orientation. It's called a transfer advocate workshop for our advisors, where we tell them about all the things transfer. And they get a nice certificate at the end and they put it on their wall, not only for them to feel great about that, but also for their students to see, oh, this person is someone that we've worked with and that we've trained on the transfer experience so they can feel comfortable sharing that. In our office, we also promote what we call our IDS 2003 Transfer Connection to Success class. It's our Thrive 25 program, where it's a peer-led seminar course that we promote for our transfer students, where they are taught by a transfer student how they can be successful here at Florida State. And so we've had it now since 23. And it's such a fun program, and our students really enjoy it. And they are transfer students that are teaching, and we pay those transfer students to teach the class. So we've seen a lot of really good results from our students coming back and wanting to then teach the class themselves afterward too. And it also gives us a touch point with students because we are, we're embedded in the class. They know how to get a hold of us, all the things. So we got a lot of, mechanisms to engage our students once they get here at Florida State.
Brandon, thank
Brandon,
you so
you're
much for
killing it
sharing.
when
Yeah.
it comes to transfer-centric programming. I love it. I'm also putting in the chat just a question for everybody here. So what would make a receiving institution feel more transfer ready for students? And Bonnie, I see your hand up.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Becker from University of Washington, Tacoma. We have sort of an interesting history because when we were founded in 1990, we were a transfer-only school, so we only had a curriculum for juniors and seniors. So we remain half transfer and always have been a transfer majority school. One of the things I think that I can't take a lot of credit for because it comes out of our enrollment services, it's our admissions advisors. We have an admissions advisor who is an shared academic advisor at three different community colleges. So they are like 3 days at Tacoma Community College and 2 days at UW-Tacoma, so that there's a continuity as students are moving from our three biggest transfer schools. And then more recently through the CCRI, which is through the University of Washington, the Community College Research Institute, they have a program, a STEM intensive, where we have partnerships between our faculty in environmental science at Pierce College and at Highline for engineering, and they're co-developing curriculum, co-developing research projects together, so that there's a very direct and human connection in between these different majors. So that's been really cool. And CCRI just announced that they're expanding, so we can move beyond STEM programs. So we're excited to expand that at UW-Tacoma, and see what other partnerships we can create.
Bonnie, that's so exciting. Question for you. Who drove that? Was that faculty driven to start with? How did that collaboration start?
The CCRI stuff.
Yeah.
You know how much of life is relational. So the person who runs it at UW Seattle used to work at UW Tacoma. And so she was able, she reached out. They also had a lot of funding. So that
Okay.
was very appealing for both sides of the faculty. And now they have a pretty deep, and the faculty member we're working with at Pierce used to work at UW-Tacoma as well. So there, a lot of that was relational, but
Yeah.
but it has had quite a bit of momentum.
That's great. And then that's good to know because that happens a lot. And there's sometimes that works great. And then other times we have to find ways to really institutionalize that, which it sounds like you're doing now. I see two hands up, Ernesto and Thea, I believe. So Ernesto, take it away.
Hi, everybody, and hello, everybody from Transfer Nation. I'm from California, from a community college district. So, responding to the question posed, like what else we could do with the 4 years in California community colleges, what we've done here is, I call it the ecosystem. We started writing MOUs with our primary 4 year feeder partners, where we basically have an employee that's cross supervised by both institutions. But what I've been really wanting to do is what would it look like for our students that are admitted to some of these universities to have advisement on site at the community college. And I've been really thinking of this bridge connector idea and how I can make this a reality. We still want students to do orientation at the receiving 4 year because that's very critical and y'all know the literature on that. But I'm wondering, how can we pair up the summer before they head out so they still have their counseling supports, their current support system, and then when they get introduced to new catalog and new systems, how can we all be there to at least coach, I don't know, maybe 300 of the 700 students on how they pick and select their courses. So I that's just an idea I've been really wanting to put it into action, but I'll stop talking there and thank you all so much.
I love that idea, Ernesto. Maybe if I saw a lot of nodding heads. So if someone's already doing that or has ideas, it sounds like Ernesto would be it would be lovely to connect with him so that he can learn from you. And Thea, I might be saying your name wrong, but go for it.
It's okay. It's Taya, and it's
Taya.
impossible, so don't apologize.
It's not. It's beautiful.
Thank you. When I was still in the mix with students in my role before the job I currently have now, I was at Drexel University, and the university at large did have a transfer orientation. Hey, Paul. And but the college I was working at specifically actually had a required Transfer 101 course to mirror the University 101 course that was required of the freshmen. And I taught it, and it was just kind of like a copy and paste of freshman. So my former colleague and I sat down and we completely re-envisioned the course to build it around what do I need to know as a transfer, not as a student, because I've been a college student. I don't need to learn how to be a student. I just need to learn how to be a student here. And then also, how do I build my support network here? What are the services I'm interested in? How do I find those people? And really just making it about the transfer student experience they wanted to have. So we sent them on scavenger hunts. They would research different offices and present to each other about the offices and why they may go there. And we actually got a round of applause at the end of the term, which I thought was unique because I don't know that I've ever experienced that with transfer students. So I definitely think that having a class to introduce them to the intricacies of the university and what's different about how they may navigate it here versus how they navigated their previous institution, whether another 4 year or a 2 year, I think it really sets them up for a smooth transition and success and helps them understand who they need to connect with and how to create and foster those relationships.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. So this has been so rich. I hope it's been rich for you. We only have about 6 minutes left. So I'm going to put our last Padlet in the chat. We're going to just, before we close, have folks drop one thing you can do from your role. It can be, a message that you repeat, a question that you ask, a partnership you strengthened, anything that you've heard here. And then I'm going to hand it to Bernard or Emily to kind of close and talk about what they learned before we say goodbye for the day. So from your role, what do you think is one thing that you can do to make transfer visible, possible, celebrated earlier? It doesn't have, it can be a small thing. As you've heard today, it makes a huge difference, whether it's a transfer t-shirt or a way you're talking about it, a word you're using, or a phrase that you're using to be representative. I think I'd love to see sort of what people are thinking about from their position. Because sometimes it feels impossible to change the system, to change the big stuff. But honestly, everything we've talked about today is really achievable and really doable. I love it. And as they're doing that, Emily, Bernard, anything that you are thinking about, maybe even from your role of things that you want to do as we're waiting for folks to join us? Thank you, Bernard, for putting that in the chat.
I feel so energized by this conversation. So much great work is happening. And in my full-time work, I do a lot of national work, state work. And though the outcomes, aggregately across the country transfer outcomes particularly seem that they're not moving fast enough, what we do see is that what you all do every day is what moves the numbers and what moves the needle. So much about what happens in your community context, your institutional context, your regional context, working in collaboration with your partners, that's what really matters. That's where the real impact happens. And we saw that today, we're hearing it today. And so I just feel inspired by just all of the great ideas, the energy around making sure that transfer students have every opportunity they deserve to reach their goals. And so just want to thank you all for engaging.
I love that.
Yep, and I want to just ditto all of those things. It's been such a joy to watch the chat go bananas. It's difficult to keep up with, and I know lots of people are trying frantically to hear with your ears, but also read with your eyes. So I just want to reiterate that we are going to pull all this together on the back end and share some of those ideas out. We love the exchange between professionals. So if you want to leave your email in the chat or there's someone specific you want to reach out to, feel free to do that. But I heard some really important things today around first year experience. And, sometimes we fall into the trap, not intentionally, and often because we just don't know any better, to assume that that only happens at the four-year institutions or the receiving universities. But it can start at community colleges as well. So I'm really excited that that has been a conversation going on at community colleges, and we heard a lot about that at the last national conference for FYE. But even then, we're not always able to put together a whole experience. And so maybe you start with a seminar, or you start with those training sessions that we've heard mentioned so many times, your transfer advocate or your transfer champion trainings. But you start where you can, like Heather said, and build that positive momentum over time to build to that fuller coordinated ecosystem. So this is a conversation we will certainly continue to have. If you enjoyed this type of think tank, obviously Transfer Nation does this regularly, but at the NRC, maybe there's something we can do to support these conversations with you as well. So with that, we're heading down to the last few minutes. And so I know I have a couple of just announcements to make, but Heather, I think you guys do too, just for Transfer Nation.
Yeah, well, I just want to make sure that you know how to get in touch with us. If you are interested in staying in touch, we are going to take everything we learned today, synthesize it, and send it out to you all. But we also have social media outlets. We have a podcast. We have a community that meets regularly. So we'd love to continue this conversation, as Emily said. I was really thrilled to hear that everybody in this room really gets that sense that transfer is not a handoff. It's this shared system, and that early momentum is just so vital and something that we designed together. I think that was what stood out to me. And also PTK, you have an event, I think, coming up. So put it in the chat. All right, Emily, back to you for the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you very much. So everyone, just a couple of quick announcements from the NRC side of things. We are very excited to give you a little sneak peek. We have an institute coming up this fall that's being hosted in conjunction with the Belk Center at NC State. And you can see the title there. If you're into community colleges and you enjoy this kind of work where you're with other folks who understand what you're saying and get it along with you, you should maybe think about attending the Institute on Community College Student Onboarding and First Year Success. The QR code will take you to an interest interest form if that's something you want to stay up to date on. We haven't publicized a lot about it yet, so you're getting just a behind the scenes preview, but we have created that form so that our conferences and continuing ed team can keep you informed as we roll out those details if you're interested. So feel free to fill out the form and let us know. But also, we want to be sure you are staying connected to us on our socials. There's lots of ways, just like Transfer Nation, to stay engaged with Sean and his team for social media. In particular, we've rolled out a few things recently, which hopefully you've seen. The first that I really want to call attention to are our Transfer Awards. So this year, we're going to be rolling out 3 transfer-focused awards, and this is the group, I'm confident, has some folks that maybe you want to nominate or you want to be nominated yourself. So I've put the link to the awards page on there as well. So if you read those award pages carefully, what you notice is some language that I'm not ready to talk too much about at this exact moment because we're still in planning mode. But these awards are attached to an in-person, fully transfer-focused convening or conference that we are planning for summer 2027. So if you are doing your budgeting for the next year, if you're doing your professional development planning for the next year, please stay tuned again to our socials and our email listserv about our transfer conference coming to you soon in 2027. So we'll be posting details about that very, very soon. So with that, everyone, what an amazing webinar. Well, it wasn't really a webinar. What an amazing think tank.
Thank you
so much to
all.
Heather
Yeah.
and Bernard for being here and joining us. And for all of you who are doing this work every day and helping students along their pathway. So thanks so much for joining us. We're excited to see what you do next, and we'll be in touch soon with the follow-up notes from the session.
Thank you all. Thank you for your time and energy and ideas and for showing up for transfer every single day. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.